in today's class, I'm going to teach you on the topic of domain name, right? How to choose a proper domain name for your business or your product, and the technical step of buying the domain name. Okay, what is a domain name, right? What is a domain name? A domain name is basically the website URL, such as google.com, sandaweber.com, or even patrichan.name, and so on. Now, I've chosen three different types of URL, so to speak. Is because the first one, google.com, will go to the actual website. Like whatever website that you go at, you have a URL. sandaweber.com is a URL redirect, which means that it redirects to another web page. And if you see patrichan.name, basically it's different extension and it is not a .com. And the reason why I show all of this is because I will explain to you all of this, not all of this, but you understand more. That's the reason why I'm giving different kind of domain name to show to you so that you can understand later on. So your domain name, it is not just a place for others to find your website, because many people think that I just need to have a domain name so that I can set up my website, so that someone can visit me. It is not just a place, but a domain name is very important because it is also for your brand, right? Because people will remember you by your domain name. So just think of it this way. The only way someone can find out more about your stuff, whether your product, your content, or anything about you, it is your domain name. So do you start to understand how critical, important your domain name in terms of the brand? And I'm going to walk you through the strategy and optimization to get the domain name, okay? So let's continue from here. How to choose your domain name. So now you understand what is the domain name. The next question is like, how do you choose it? And just so you know, this training could be just 30 minutes, or it could be 40 minutes, or it can be an hour. I'm not too sure how long it will be, but it just really go with the flow as long as I can cover all of the important points to you. But I would suggest you to allocate maybe 45 minutes to 60 minutes in total. But we could finish this in 20 minutes, 30 minutes. I'm not too sure, all right? So how do you choose? And I'm not referring to like how to buy a domain name, but how do you choose? Because there are so many variations of a domain name, and there's no one answer to it. The truth is, it depends on your business, like what kind of business that you're building on the internet, right? And the objective of your website. So the business and the website are two different things here. So let's say your website, like what I mentioned to you earlier, the examples that I will be giving to you is going to be based on the e-income program. So the business that we teach in the e-income program, it is the knowledge-based business, the e-learning industry, digital product business. So which means if it's a digital product, then the domain name should reflect that business. And what is the objective of your website? Is it to sell a product? Is it to showcase your credibility? Is it a blog? Is it to capture leads? So once you understand this, then only it helps you to get a better idea of what domain name that you want. So now you understand this part here, like how to choose a domain name, then we are going to cover specifically in the sense that, let's say the business is a digital product business. So here's how you should choose your domain name, okay? The first one is you choose a domain name based on your product's name. So I'm going to give you examples, but if you're going to have a digital product business, then obviously you will need to have a name for your product. So now you gotta have a domain name for the product. So I'm gonna give you examples here right now, okay? Example, if the product's name is, like for instance, for mine, is Operation Zero Employees Masterclass, then the domain name could be www.operationzeroemployees.com, or a shorter one like zeroemployees.com. So this is an example where the domain name, it is based on your product's name. Make sense? So this is the first criteria. So this is how you choose a domain name. So if you have a knowledge-based business, if you are going to get into the e-learning business, then your domain name is your product's name. The next one is this. If you are in the digital product business, right, in the knowledge-based industry, then you need to get a domain name for your own name. So my name, of course, is Patric. So I own patrichan.com. So whatever your name is, you will buy that as your domain name. Example, my name is Patric Chan, so I have www.patrichan.com. So if your name is whatever name, you gotta have that. Now, but what if your name is complex in the sense that it's like, for instance, if you're from Thailand, right? Then your name is complex because it is unique to those who are not from Thailand. So it's sort of hard to remember. In that case, then what you can do is that you can do a derivation of it, like in this case, right? So let's say your name is long. Let's say your name is, I couldn't think of one right now, but let's say it's complicated. Then you just choose the main word and then you add with either keywords that are related to your industry. Or let's say your name is taken. Let's say I could not get Patric Chan anymore. So if your name is not available, then you can use a derivation of it, such as patriclive.com or, for instance, marketingwithpatric.com. So this is where you use your name as the brand because you are the brand, because you are the product. Make sense? So you got to own your own name. This is very, very important. If you haven't owned your name, that is something that you want to do right now. Okay, so go ahead and buy your own name for that matter. And for this, you can use this domain name, like your own name, as your so-called portfolio website. So when you are in the digital product business, you may have two domain names. One domain name is for your product. So in this case, it could be operation0employees.com or it could be zeroemployees.com to make it shorter, right? And you have another domain name, which is your name, patrichan.com or whatever your name is. And you use that as your portfolio website, or it can be your blog. So you only need two domain names. So when you create that, let's say you are in self-help, right? Then you will have a name for that product. I'm just going to make it up, okay? Let's say it's called the Super 10X Self-Help Program. Let's say that is the name of your product. Then your domain name could be super10xselfhelp.com. All right? And then you have another domain name like Cynthia, could be cynthiasuccess.com or Cynthia whatever Cynthia's surname.com is. Okay. All right, so let's continue from here. So this is all you need. So remember, this is a newbie's training. You don't want to make it complicated. Keep it simple so that it's easy for you to actually achieve, get results, and move forward. But other suggestion in case that you want something else, right? Let's say you want to have another domain name or you want to have a different kind of domain name, is this. It can be based on the keyword that define your industry, what it is, quote unquote, what it is, like what your product is, what your thing is, or your product. So what do I mean by this? Okay, so here's more examples. I'm in the teaching about success industry, so I could use successandlife.com, which is my domain name. So when you hear successandlife.com, you know what it means, right? As in, like, you know that this is not a website about gardening. This is not a website about cooking. You know that because it doesn't have the word cooking. it doesn't have the word gardening, it doesn't have any of those keywords that refer to that niche. Successinlife.com, it sort of tells you that this has to be something related to self-help. Or you can also have a domain name that define quote unquote what it is. Like what is the message? What is the outcome? What is the benefits that they get from your webpage? So for starting an online business, another example of my domain name could be outsellyourpaycheck.com. So outsellyourpaycheck.com, what does that mean? Well, it simply means like how to make more money than your current salary. So it's about outsell, like be more, like beat, B-E-A-T, your own paycheck. So obviously this domain name is for online business, because I use this domain name for a program to teach someone on how to outsell their paychecks. All right, so this is what I mean by choosing a different keyword that define your industry, what it is, or your product. All right. So now, 4 valuable tips when buying a good domain name. So this is where I'm going to teach you more on the strategy and optimization on how to get a domain name properly that is good for your brand and so on, okay? The first rule is this: the least words you can, the better it is. One word will be ideal, but that is impossible in today's time. I only have like 1 or 2 domain name with 1 word, right? It's very hard for you to acquire that right now. I mean, a 1-word domain name would easily cost tens of thousands of US dollar, even hundreds of thousands of dollars for a 1-word domain name. 1 word would be this. For instance, let's say it's success.com, just 1 word, right? So you wouldn't be able to find that anymore. So which means that it goes to 2 words. Now, if you can get 2 words domain name, it's amazing, but you're rarely able to find that, which means that you find one keyword and then you add with another keyword. Unless it's a product's name, then you may still get that. But let's say if you want to have like 2 general keywords add together to have a domain name, it's very unlikely. So what do I mean by a product's name? Like zeroemployees.com is 2 words. And because it's the name of a product, so I can do that. But if I want to have 2 words like getsuccess.com, get 1 word, success 2 words, getsuccess.com, it's very unlikely that you can find that. So which leads to the next point is 3 words domain name. So it's very likely you end up with 3 words domain name. I feel that 4 is like the worst scenario, that if you really need to have 4 because it's your product's name or you need to complete the so-called sentence, then you have 4 words. 5 words to me will be a no-no, that you should not have a domain name that have 5 words. So if you're going to have 3 words, preferably the words it is not long. For instance, right? Let's say you're going to use the word called negotiator. I need to say negotiator for I call it what, syllabus? Is that the word how you define in English? Negotiator, which is not a good domain name if you're gonna use 3 words for it. For instance, right? Let's say you have successfulnegotiator.com. Do you see that it's really long because of how it sounds, right? But it is still 2 words that's still okay. Imagine if you're gonna have 3 words for it. Like, let's say, okay, I'm in Malaysia right now. So let's say the domain name is malaysiasuccessfulnegotiator.com. Although it's 3 words, which falls under the okay category, but that domain name, it is not a good domain name anymore, because it's like Malaysia Successful Negotiator. You see that? That's 10. So don't do that. The next one is preferably always stick to a .com. So .com, it is the extension that people will remember. And it's common that my student will ask this: can I use a .cc, a .net, and so on? Here's my piece of advice. If you can get a .com, get a .com. Full stop. Don't argue with me. I've just given to you that advice, and you can choose not to follow, and that's totally okay. but I'm just telling you, preferably always stick to a .com. Then someone may ask, but Patrick, why do you have a dot something else? The reason why I would ever have a dot something else is because I own the .com. So I have patrichan.com, and I still want to brand my name. So this is why I have patrichan.name, I have patrichan.net, and so on, right? The domain name is expensive, or should I say a premium domain name. Like I have passivewealth.net, because passivewealth.com, I could not acquire that, and passive wealth, it's a good domain name. And the next great extension will be .net. Okay, but if you're a newbie, again, this is called the newbie series. If you're a newbie, just follow this piece of advice and you'll be on the right track. Stick to a .com. So tip number 3, have a keyword that defines your industry or your product. Let me just put it this way. People should know what your product or website is about when they read or hear your domain name. So if they could not understand, like, what is this, right? Then it's not a good domain name. But you say, but Nike, well, Nike, it's a billion-dollar company, I guess, right? So that's a whole different thing. But right now, you are building a different business. Unless you're coming to me and say that, hey, I'm a startup, okay? I am building a multi-million-dollar startup business and so on, and I have money to acquire a really good domain name and so on. That's a whole different story, right? So you want to have a domain that sort of let people know what your product is. Even the brand can tell people what it is. Like, for instance, if I tell you operation0employees.com, automatically you know what it is about. It is about how to build a business with no employees, 0 employees. It's very straightforward. So having a word that triggers it would be good, because they will understand your business, and also it sort of pre-frame them what it is about. All right. Okay, good. So your domain name, it should look quote unquote nice and avoid typo example. For instance, right, if you see this example here, newbieseries.com should be the right domain name. If you see here, it should look nice, because if you say you get newbieseries.com, do you see the problem of the double S there? So technically, if I want to own the domain name newbieseries.com, I would technically need to change the product to call it newbie series and never call it newbieseries.com. So you need to put into consideration of the domain name when you're naming your product. Will it look nice or not? Because if it's going to be newbieseries.com with the double S there, you're going to lose a lot of traffic, because when someone hears newbie series, they may miss out the double S's. All right. Okay, so now I've shared with you the 4 key tips for you to optimize. So these are the 4 mistakes to avoid when you're buying a domain name, okay? The first one, avoid a dash, like this dash sign in your domain name. So you should not have, like, say, patric-chan.com. Don't put dash. It should be one phrase. patricchan.com, not patric-chan.com. Let's say if the domain name is called operation0employees.com, it should not be operation-0employees. Don't do the dash. Second mistake to avoid. Avoid short forms like for you for you, two for two, etc. You get my point? Like, for instance, successforyou.com. But instead of FOR, it's replaced with number 4. So it becomes success number 4 alphabet u.com. No, that is a mistake. You should have it as how it's supposed to be spelled. Success, then FORYOU. Successforyou.com. Next, avoid quote unquote hard to type or remember domain names. For instance, example, let's say you have this fancy name. Let's say it's called the Labardo formula. Labardo formula. Yes. How in the world are you going to spell Labardo? Right? So if you have fancy names for your product called Labardo formula, right? You're gonna have a hard time getting your domain names remembered, because this word Labardo, in my mind, it is spelled as Labourdo, but someone could spell it Laburdo, right? Or something else. So avoid that. Don't be fancy, otherwise you're gonna have it messed up. And avoid copyright names. Don't buy a domain name that has copyright names. For instance, Tony Robbins' name is copyright. So let's say you buy a domain name called thesecretsofTonyRobbins.com. Guess what will happen? You will get lawsuit letters because Tony Robbins is a copyright name. So let's say you buy PatricSecrets.com. Although Patric, technically I didn't go to the law office to register, but I will still be able to file a case and claim back that domain name because Patric is my name and you don't have any reference point to own that name. So I could still go to the domain registrar and file a case. So avoid copyright names if you don't want to get into trouble. Like for instance, previously I get a domain name that belongs to a Lego brand, like Lego, the Lego bricks. And within a month or two, the company has contacted me and asking me to sell the domain name to them. Now, the reason why I buy that at the time, many years ago, because there's like another different tactic to make money is called domain squatting, which I do not encourage that at all. Those are the early days where I would admit that I apply many different tactics just to make money online. And one of it is to acquire domain names that gets a lot of traffic. But that's a whole different story, right? The point is that you should not get any copyright names, okay? So the next one is the walkthrough. So I've covered the two parts. The first one is the overview. The second one is the strategies slash optimization, like how to buy the right domain name for your brand and everything else. And now is the walkthrough, like how to buy your domain name in Namecheap. So if you want to go to Namecheap, just go ahead and type this URL right now to visit url.com/domain. So this link, it's also, for the record, it's also an affiliate link. In case you decide to get a domain name, I'll make a few cents or something like that, right? But if you don't use my link, that's totally okay. I would not miss the $1 in my life, and that is all right, okay? But I'm just giving you that link because it is the right link. This is how it looks like. The interface may change if you're watching this through the recording. If somehow you purchase this recording and you're watching this as a recording, I just want you to know that this design may change. It may not be an eagle. It's eagle here right now. It's probably because it's 4th of July. So just want you to know that don't panic if you see something different. The only thing that you want is basically this part here to key in your domain name, okay? So this is how you buy the domain name technically. You come over here and then you type the domain name that you want. Now, I'm going to give you a few key examples. The first one is I want to show to you a domain name that doesn't exist anymore. Okay, so let's say we think of a word. Let's say I think about easy.com. Let's say, right? And then click search. It will not be available anymore because it's a one-word domain name. Make sense? As I share with you, it doesn't exist anymore. You see, even a .dev, which nobody used that, someone is already selling for 20,000 US dollar, right? So easy.com may worth $1 million. I do not know, maybe $500,000. To be fair, I would say at least 200,000 US dollar and above. Okay, so it's not. So let's say we have self-help. So if I took like easyselfhelp.com, which is not a good domain name, okay, I'm just giving an example. I'm just trying to explain to you that a 2 words domain name, I mean, self-help is 1 word, as in that it's one meaning, okay? Or if you really want to do like just 1 word, like easy success, okay? Let's say easysuccess.com. You wouldn't have it anymore because it's 2 words. You will have it if you want for 12,125 US dollar, which do not do that. All right, don't buy that. Even it's $500, don't buy that right now. Okay, so it is not available. But if you say 3 words, maybe you could find the domain name. So easy success today, let's say. Okay, then you have it. Then you can see it's $8.88 per year. Now, of course, don't go and buy Easy Success today. I just did a training earlier to teach you how to buy a domain name the right way, okay? Okay, all right. So don't buy this. This is just a demo. I'm not saying that this is a good domain name at all. So once you run this, if this is what you want, you just need to click Add to Cart. And then you can go ahead and check out. Now, when you check out, you do not need to add anything else, other extension. No, 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 no. Just click checkout. Okay? Don't add hosting, whatever. Just don't do any of those. You just want domain name. So this tool is you can enable because it's free. Even next year, it's still going to be free. So Whois is a feature that allows you to protect your profile information. So which means that if you don't want people to know that you are the owner of easysuccesstoday.com, you can enable who's got so that they cannot see your details, your contact details. Okay. So this is for whatsoever reason, for privacy or whatever you want. All of this, you don't need it. So once you're happy with this, you can click confirm order. Now, is there a promo code? Sometimes there's promo code. You can go to google.com and search for like Namecheap coupon code. Let's say this month is October, right? Then you search for Namecheap October coupon code 2020. Sometimes there will be a coupon code for 10%. In this case, you get to save extra 90 cents, which is good. You can do that. If it's not, then just go ahead and click confirm order. And then you reach this page. Now, if you are a newbie, chances are you do not have an account yet, then you just need to register your account. So this is self-explanatory. Username, you choose the username to define your account, and then you type your password and everything else. Once you have that, you will be able to log in. And once you log in, you'll be able to check out. It's that straightforward, okay? So I'm going to show you my account so that I can show you until the last stage on how to check out. So let me just go ahead and do some editing at my end here. I'm going to go ahead and log into my account first. Give me a second. Okay, you are already logged in. Okay, good. So let's go to domain search. So we are going to say buy a domain name. So we have easysuccesstoday.com, right? So let's click search. Okay, so we have already added the cart earlier. Remember that? Okay. So now we have it added into the cart. You can see here, we can check out. So I'll go ahead and click checkout. Now, I want to bring out one point. If you are sharp here, you will realize that why is my account $8.66 when I'm logged out, it's about $9 something, right? The reason is because for my account, I automatically get a 10% without putting a coupon because I bought hundreds of domain names, and because I'm a premium customer, I would guess, Namecheap automatically gives me like a 10% discount for any domain names that I purchase. So that is by default. All right, so the same process. If I click checkout, I'm not too sure whether it will buy my domain or not. Right, let me just click checkout and see. Okay, so I'm not going to click confirm order because I don't want this domain name, all right? So you reach this stage here, and then if you click confirm order, it will acquire the domain name for you, and that's it. And that's how you buy a domain name. It's that straightforward. Okay, so you don't get yourself more complicated than this because it is really that straightforward. So that's how you acquire a domain name, right? So that's a wrap. All right, everybody. See you all. Have a fantastic evening ahead. Take care, everybody.